Engineer Theophilus Tetteh Zogblah. He's Deputy Director, Standards and Curriculum Development at CTVET. He'll be speaking to us on Beyond the Classroom, strengthening internships, co-ops, and public-private partnerships for work-integrated learning as well. And so if he's here, Engineer, kindly be on your way up here for us.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I think I have a slide, so they are looking for it, so we can start. So thank you very much. So by way of introduction, Prof. Chair, Theophilus Tetteh Zogblah is my name. So I work with the Commission for TVET, and I'm happy to be part of this session. Right. Okay. I want to test my role. Okay, so that's fine. So for the topic under discussion, I intend to look at these few things. So purpose of the classroom with the end in mind. And I will also want us to share on the concept of work-integrated learning. We'll also look at the benefits of work-integrated learning, then approaches to collaboration, to collaborative work-integrated learning. We would also consider some countries, examples that institutionalize workplace integrated learning as best practice, and what some of the challenges are. Then, of course, what recommendation we can all prefer as we move ahead. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Beyond the classroom, and I asked myself, what is the purpose of the classroom? My earlier presenter says, the classroom is a teacher. Why do we go to school? What's the purpose of the classroom? Just like what's the purpose of education after all? So these are my thoughts, that the classroom is to prepare, groom, and shape learners to discover and develop their knowledge, skills, and other capabilities for economic opportunities and social function. Many things will go into it as we walk through the lines. One key economic function of the classroom is to discover and develop the talent of learners for the world of work and for sustainable innovation. Since morning, we've been talking about integrated workplace learning. And we have come to the understanding that this cannot be done alone. The classroom alone cannot achieve this. To achieve this requires that we have partnership with other players within the ecosystem. And of course, the industries are key and crucial in this respect. So we go to school. Parents send us to school so that at the end of the day, economically, we'll become independent. We'll create jobs. We'll have the necessary competencies to put us into work. So the end in mind is that you've gone through education and training so you could fit into the world of work, or you have the right set of competencies to be employed or to create employment or to also unleash your innovation. And these are some of the things that we will have to appreciate beyond the classroom. Again, one key social function of the classroom is to prepare learners to become responsible citizens and to contribute towards sustainable social development. You must be of value to society when you go through education and training. It's not just for you alone. You have to impact on your immediate environment. Whilst you make some economic gains, there should also be social transformation. And so this is the reason why we all go through the classroom. Now, in brief, just to reiterate that the classroom has a critical role to ensure that knowledge, skills, and attitudes of learners are discovered, they are shaped, and developed for socioeconomic benefit of the individual and society. So having gone through school, you must be of good value to yourself, and for that matter, society as well. If you don't get that from you, if you get one side and we don't get the other, then it means that you have not gone through the classroom, or you have not gone through education and training. And that is very important. Our social impact as educated people is crucial. Now, so I'm trying to look at the concept of integrated work learning or work integrated learning. Having discussed from where we came from, I'm saying that based upon that background, this therefore highlights the concept of strengthening internship, corporations, and private partnership for work integrated learning. Just to be sure that I contextualize the discussion. So giving you some background to really leverage into the discussion properly. And that is to say that work integrated learning means learning must be done as though you are working on the job. And that is clearly established in our earlier conversations. We don't want theory to be there and then practice is somewhere. What are we preparing you for? For the world of work. What are we shaping you for? So you must see yourself within that context. And training should ensure that all the needed resources are put together to tune you up that I'm being trained to do this specific thing. So if you don't create that environment and support, then of course there's going to be a serious gap. And that is also to say that real work practice that shapes learners for the future is beyond just the classroom. And that is the conversation, beyond the classroom. It's beyond the classroom. If it's beyond the classroom, then it requires that we have collaboration with industry and the relevant stakeholders so that we all harness our energies and our efforts together to ensure that we mold that kind of person to be economically independent and also contribute to transforming society. And it's very much important. With this discussion, it brings to the fore that it therefore requires a grand scheme of partnership for cooperation with employers and industry. And this is best practice. This is best practice. If we want to ensure that our learners or our wards or our children who go through education and training, these learners, we would have to ensure that there is a good balance between what happens in the classroom and then what happens in the world of work, so that at the end of the day, at least they are prepared to fit into the world of work. And best practice, that is what is happening. So we can just look at these and look at our current scheme of education, how we do our training, whether is it in sync with this partnership model. If that is not, then we'll have to be thinking again, how do we bring this kind of partnership, cooperative models into our education system so that we will make our education to be very responsive to the needs of industry and of course society. And this is the thinking we should be going through. What are the gaps? Have we identified them? What can be done better so that we can improve the lot of our learners? Now, workplace experience learning, cooperative learning, industry attachment, internship, we have discussed these things in depth from the panel point of view and from earlier presentation. So I also try to, apart from me knowing the reality, what is on the ground, I also want to understand the minds of others, what others are also saying, so that we would ensure that we are all in agreement that there is an issue that requires solution. And so from some empirical studies on the subject matter under discussion, certain things have been documented. So with cooperatives, with partnership with industries, having workplace integrated learning into our classroom, there are some benefits that we can get, and we say it enhanced employability. So this is from a finding from a research that enhanced the employability of learners who take internship very serious, who take workplace experience learning very serious, who are committed to really learning the arts of the work for which they are being trained for. It enhances your employability. So people finish and readily, the organizations are ready to give you employment, like one of the presenters shared here. So he listened, he participated, he showed commitment, and at the end of the day, he was properly baked. If not to create his own employment, then ready for someone to absorb him. And so especially to our youth who are in school, internship, workplace experience learning, doing your practicals are very, very much important. And to the schools, you would also have to come to this understanding that if you don't put systems and arrangement in place to have a balance between these two sides, you cannot keep the learners just in the classroom to talk about the theories without partnership for the practice, and expect that your learners will go out. If they go out and they are misfits, then one will ask, which school did you attend? So as teachers or as administrators and directors of schools, we have a responsibility to ensure that necessary systems are discussed and implemented so that at the end of the day, we are training learners, preparing learners that will be fit for the world of work and also for society. So the learners, you have a role. School administrators, you have a role. Teachers, you have a role. The industry, we have a role. Because these learners are just like us. I always say, we all went through school. We knew of the gaps. What are we doing when we have become teachers to fix those gaps? We know that governments have a responsibility, all of us have a responsibility, and there are things that should engage us very well. Also, improved academic performance. Normally, when you put your hand to work and you see the practical things, struggling to read much more and to keep understanding of what you read becomes easy. Because practice gives birth to theory. I've done the thing. You are asking me to narrate it. It's easy for me to narrate. I am to fix an air conditioner or probably troubleshoot it, find the problem, and fix it. If there is this synergy with industries, and then we are troubleshooting, we are fixing, we are testing, and I come to school and you ask me to walk you through the process of troubleshooting, finding fault, and remedying, would it be difficult? Would it be difficult? It wouldn't be difficult. So if you go that tangent, I assure you that you come to school, your lecturer asks you something, quickly you will just pour it like you are drinking water. And these are some of the things that we also have to know. And schools too, that if we have this balance between the workplace and then the training institutions, we all collaborate together, it's going to make our learning or our even teaching a bit easier. Because if the students can perform, why worry spend so much hours? We are just helping to shape them to fit into the world of work and to be of benefit to society. Again, increased innovation. We've spoken about innovations in the morning, so you would see it as more or less like recycling. So you put your hand to the task, you see a problem, it really activates your thinking. what options there are that I can explore. Let me attempt this one and see whether there will be a solution. You put your hand to it. It works. Is it not great innovation? Is it not great innovation? Right. So if we try to create a gap between the classroom and then the industry, all these things are going to be burden on us as school administrators, teachers, lecturers, and learners. Life is easy. We got to put our minds to it to make it work. And that is the conversation. These things are no new conversation. From time when we were also in school. But like someone said, an old man was planting a coconut tree, and someone asked, how long would you live? But he said, for the next generation. So again, we'll revisit these things so that we carry you on board, we draw you into that consciousness that we all have a role to play in ensuring that we train the younger generation so they become very innovative and create solutions to both social problems and economic problems, and at least there's peace in our world, and there's peace in our region, and there will be peace in our country. Because if you are misfit and you cannot have the competencies to work, it has security implications. And I don't want to go there because we all know an idle hand. Right. Of course, when we go into the workplace and we interact and we put our ideas together, there are other essential skills that are developed. Communication, teamwork, problem solving. I understand very often we feel just too much on our phones. And so it's just like you are playing with your phone. There isn't that kind of social interaction with others. And sometimes when we are in school, we are just glued to our books to read, chew, pour, pass, and then move on. But when you go to the workplace, what happens there? Don't you work with people? Don't you work with people? You work with people. Are you not open to maybe tell the supervisor, there is this difficulty I cannot understand. Can you help me out? Better still, maybe with your own colleagues. Look at the situation. How do we fix it together? Some of these things are enhanced when we are able to get opportunity to participate in training in the various workplaces or the companies or industries. Then, of course, as we go there, we know people. As we are here, we have seen people. So within that practical training session, you would know people. So when one needs recommendation that, oh, there is this job opportunity here, and I need someone. Oh, this student was with us. It's very good. Get his contact and contact him. So you know many more people, and it also enhances your employability profiles. And so some of these things are the reason why we are saying that beyond the classroom, integrated work learning is important. Cooperative and partnership with private sector is very important, so we can create the platform for our learners to have a feel of the real practical work of what they are going to learn. And I always tell myself that, look, industries or employers are not expecting you to come and talk about the process of troubleshooting and air conditioning. He's not employing you for that. What is he employing you for? To come and fix the problems. But in the process of education, you are taken through some of these rudiments so that if you can do it, then of course you can also share that knowledge with someone. So beyond the classroom, the end in mind. So let's bear that one in mind as we progress. Now, let's look at some of the approaches to collaborative work integrated learning. These ones we'll discuss a lot more this morning by rehashing in another way. So establishing clear goals between the classroom and industry that aligns with skills development, and work readiness outcomes. What is the expectation of the industry? What are the expectations of companies that we want to employ? And so who are we training? And upon what content are we training? If they needed people to come and install air conditioners for them, because that is the market, that is the emerging opportunity, then essentially what they are saying is that let's partner together and let's train people to install air conditioners for us. And I think that's pretty reasonable. So the school doesn't stay on one side like the silos concept we're discussing, and then the school just teaches you the theories of these things, and you get employed, and they say, please, okay, go and pick the air condition, go and mount it, and you do not even know the kind of tools to pick. It's not a good impression. Training institutions, educational institutions, learners, educational administrators, and policy makers, it's not a good impression. Would you like that for yourself? So if you wouldn't like it for yourself, don't like it for me, and don't like it for the next generation. And if the next generation, you wouldn't like it for yourself, you will have to demand for it. That I came to learn to be an architect. Upon completion, with support of companies, industrial practice, can I set up myself? And so that should be the end in mind as we go through education and training. Again, integrating work internships and work integrated learning into curriculum implementation. So with where I come from, with our competency-based training model, as part of your success or to complete a program, it is mandatory that you go through industry and do some minimum number of internship, minimum number of hours of internship. And these we can see in the practice of lawyers. Where do you find them? They go to have internship. In the practice of nursing, where do you find them? In the practice of medicine, where do you find them? That is what we are calling for across all the disciplines. That it should be the classroom and then the workplace, so that we put our hands together to really see the reality of work. And that is why we are going through school. Of course, policies and funding from government supports that support accessibility and scalability. Now, if this workplace experience learning or internship and other things we are talking about, we have some challenge because we have fewer companies or industries or people are unwilling to do, but some are also doing it one way or the other. Maybe the companies would also need some kind of support from government so they can scale it up. It's very much important for us. And then there's the need for monitoring to ensure that the right things are also done. Look at these countries. Look at these countries. You can testify of their advancements in technology, economic development, and other social infrastructure. It was because the mainstream workplace learning into what happens in the classroom. So I wouldn't want to go through, United States is doing something, Canada, Australia, Germany, United Kingdom, and we'll have the stories for ourselves. Do we not want Ghana to be part of this list? We can only be part of this list if we rethink of our education system and how we develop partnership with the industry to ensure that we all collaborate to prepare our next generation of workforce. The challenges we've spoken about then, let me run you through quickly. Inadequate industries. What can we do? What investment must government push in so that we ensure that the number of learners in our schools get places to do their internship and workplace learning? Weak cooperation and collaboration among industry actors, they themselves. Some are unwilling to open their doors. But if you don't open your doors, how would you contribute in training the next cohort of employers that you will use to expand your businesses? Sustainability is important. It's a win-win. So we must all throw our hands into that conversation. We also have some weak financial schemes and incentives. or support by government. We've talked about these. And sometimes what is seriously killing is lack of knowledge and understanding of some industries on their corporate social responsibility towards skill development. Why are you existing? You don't know the market is becoming bigger. You require new skills to stay in business. And you think that it is government responsibility alone. It's your responsibility as well, with the next cohort of workforce in mind to make your business flourish. My simple recommendation that I want to share with you here is that there should be continuous and deliberate engagement with industry champions to inspire industries and companies to partner educational institutions for skill development. So if you don't do this continuously, others will say, oh, that's not my business. I'm just operating my small business. I don't even have the intention of expanding. So we need to carry the conversation deeper. And then government must also institutionalize funding schemes to motivate industries to want to partner with schools to support workforce development. Yes, some incentive schemes is important. And to also strengthen and incentivize public-private partnership across the region and international organizations to drive the agenda of work-integrated learning. We are in a global village and people are moving from somewhere to somewhere, migration. But when you go, you must have the right set of competencies to fit into that market. So the conversation is for all of us. It's a global thing, but we'll act locally whilst we are also reaching out to the global agenda. I am sure, having said this, if I'm not very careful, this is just to say some references that I went through to just confirm my point that I shared with you. On that note, I want to say thank you very much for your audience.
Thank you very much, Engineer. So you just sit for us 2 questions quickly so that we wrap up this presentation as well, if anybody has any question. So a microphone just here quickly, and then one more. So just 2 quick questions. We answer that and then we.
Right. Thank you very much. So please, on the improved academic performance point you elaborated earlier, and tying it together with the question you asked, that what then is the essence of the classroom? You cited that if students first have to acquire practical knowledge through application, it makes the learning process easy, which I particularly agree with. Having been a research and teaching assistant has been quite a good experience. But then I was thinking, if now our best approach in providing teaching and training to students is through, first of all, practical demonstrations, that will mean that a heavy toll will have to be placed on internships. And if the weight is now on the internships, what then is the purpose of the school? That is tying it back to the question you threw earlier, that what is the essence of school? And now, we also know that most of our industries aren't well-resourced or being capacitated enough to administer academic training. The best they can do is to kind of give us the practical demonstrations. But even some of them aren't well-resourced enough to give that kind of quality training. So in that case, how can you please address this accordingly? Thank you.
Thank you. We do the final one and then.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Joseph Esando Yedu. Well, I'm with the University of Cape Coast now, the Institute of Oil and Gas Studies. Yes, I was formerly with the Energy Commission, but no more fine. Interesting, what I've seen is that, you see, what about the instructors themselves, the teachers, the lecturers? Very, very important. Because the experience I've seen in Ghana here, I have my master's in Sweden, and then also my PhD in the US. Interestingly, Ghana here, when I realized the lecturer comes. Now, excuse me, your lecturers around, you leave a whole big mustache, they come and start the program, after that time is up, he leaves. Do you see? But in Sweden, it's something there for every program or every model. We have somebody coming from industry, somebody coming from the policy area, institution, that's government side, somebody also coming from the academia who hosts it. So by the time the person completes, the module is completed, you are full. Do you see? I saw that also in the University of Texas, Austin. You see, what I realized that here, I don't see that the challenge that we don't find this TV being taught over there, but here. Why? Because the instructors themselves, you see, we are studying the course. I read physics. It comes, I put all these calculations over there. What am I going to use those things for? You will not explain. Nothing. So the person now enters in, I see, because he couldn't get engineering, medicine, or something like that in. So he's thinking of it changing. But over there, the lecturer comes, the importance of the course,
right,
the opportunities ahead, where he can take you. So over there, everybody's attentive. You go to the campuses, nobody is looking down upon him or herself. You go to the physics department, they have the statues of Einstein and all those kind of things. You go to the maths and all those kind of things. Well, you see that you are complete.
Right.
Like what about here? Even the infrastructure, the building. You see over there the building engineering. You see the structures in this engineering. What about here? They are just anyhow. So the instructors also should play a very key role. So when we are training them, let's also include them.
Thank you as well. So I think this was more of a contribution, and so just one question.
Right, so thank you. So that's why we are all here. The contribution, sharing different minds is very important. So to focus us, and I agree with you. So the classroom on its own should be handled to some level of quality. So we are talking about the quality of the teacher, then also the quality of training resources that are there, and also other infrastructure, so you have the conducive environment for learning, and that is key. So we agree on that, so that's why we're in the conversation. Then, of course, beyond the classroom, if you follow the presentation, so we are saying that in the current scheme of things, you go through the school, you learn. Sometimes there are no many industries that would accept you for your internship. So when you finish your training, you become half-baked. If I am an employer and I'm going to employ, I will put you to practical test. You cannot perform. Where lies your employment? That is why this conversation is partnership, cooperative with the workplace. So they know that they also have a role in shaping you, so they can get you back in the future. So they do not just focus that when you come there, go and buy food and other things. Of course, that is also part of the training, but we are saying that don't go and do maybe menial chores there without going to acquire the learnings that you have been sent to the industry. It is not to put a burden, it should be a balance. That is why when you are developing content, in our scheme, we'll bring the industry on board. What kind of person do you expect? What is your market? What competencies should a person have? Please put it into the curriculum. Now, in its implementation, some are cut out that the students will come to your company to do this enhanced practice. You have a role as a company facilitator to help the student. Right? We are not saying that take the burden of the classroom. That's why we are saying beyond the classroom. We want to move from just theory on one side and maybe some others to practice on the other side, but a blend, the balance. So theory and practice to go together to shape you and prepare you. You have the confidence, you have all the competencies. You can set up yourself, you're also marketable, and you can get employment. So the balance is always important. And that is the conversation. That sometimes we say academia, industry, collaboration. So that's the underlying conversation. Trust I've responded to your questions. Thank you.